Hello YouTube, Sam here from youtube.com/onlivegamer for the new Boston, and in this tutorial we're going to be using some of the things that you've learned in the last tutorials to make a simple calculator program. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and get some space down here in our main sub, and we're going to prompt the user to input a value. So we'll use console.writeLine. Please enter the first number. Now what we're going to do is we're going to declare a variable, and we're going to use console.readLine to store the information in that variable. So we'll use the dim keyword, so dim num1 as double, and we'll just set it equal to console.readLine. So if you want to read a value from the line, or if you want to get the input that the user is putting in, you can declare the variable and assign it to console.readLine at the same time. You can do all this in one line, which saves you some coding time. So now that we have our first number, we're going to use console.writeLine, and we're just going to tell the user what their first number is so that they know that the program received it correctly. So we'll do first number, and we'll just use the and sign, and we'll print out num1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to prompt them to enter a second number. So we will use console.writeLine. Please enter the second number. Now we're going to create another variable. So we will use the dim keyword. We'll do dim num2 as double, and we'll set it equal to console.readLine. So this does the same thing that we did up here in declaring num1, and we use console.readLine, and instead of num1 down here we're going to want num2. Okay, so now we're going to print out the answer, but first we're going to tell them that we received their first number correctly. So console.writeLine second number, and now we're going to create a third variable where we will dim it, and we'll type answer as the name, and we want to make it a double, and we'll set it equal to num1 times num2. So now we're just going to print that out. So console.writeLine answer, and we'll set that equal to answer, or we'll add answer to that. And we need to use the and sign right here. So now if we run this program, it'll say please enter the first number. So if I type 32 and press enter, it's going to tell me the first number is 32, and it's going to ask me for the second number. So let's do 45, and you can see it closed on us right there. So we need to add console.readLine. Okay, so we'll enter the first number, 34. It says first number 34, and we'll enter the second number, 45, and when we press enter, it'll tell us the second number, and it'll tell us the answer. So now let's go down here, and let's just specify what the calculator did. So we'll do the numbers multiplied is, and it's going to give us the answer. Now what we can do to save time is we can get rid of answer all by itself, and instead of printing out the answer, we can do num1 times num2. So what this does is it takes our num1 and multiplies it by num2, and it only does that in the arguments of console.writeLine. So it's not stored as a variable, it's just going to print out that number, and then it's not going to save it anywhere. Now you can choose which one you want to do. If you want to use answer later on, then I would suggest declaring that variable and storing it in there, because if you want the answer later on and you didn't declare a variable for it, you won't be able to get the answer, because the only time that you have the answer printed out on the screen or stored anywhere is when it writes this line and it multiplies them together. So you can go ahead and play around with it. You can make it multiply, you can make it divide, you can make it add, whatever you want. And then once you've got that nailed down, move on to the next tutorial.